Dodgers have won it all. High fly ball into right field. She is gone. He struck him out. 2 balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. It's his way back. Walk the ball. Chris Taylor.
Hi, everyone, and welcome into a special episode of DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Matthew Moreno, and yes, joining me direct from South Korea is our own Blake Williams. Blake, how are things going out there? Is there anything interesting you can share with us from the future? Maybe things we can look forward to or watch out for?
Yeah, the next day is going to be the day after St. Patrick's Day. That's where I'm at right now. I wore a green shirt yesterday to celebrate over here in Korea, but it's been going pretty good so far. A lot going on, a bit tired, but doing pretty well.
All right. Yeah, that's great to hear. And I know people are excited to see you in the comments. Obviously, we've seen everybody reacting to Blake's tweets and the videos we've been posting. And if you've missed those, definitely check it out once we're done here. If you're interested in the stadium that the Dodgers are playing at, you can go to our channel. And Blake did kind of a behind the scenes sort of tour of it, and so we thank him for that. I think we're planning on getting a food concessions video put together of the different stands they have at the stadium. So hopefully that will be up in the next day or two. For Blake, maybe it'll go live after the fact, after he's recorded it, because of the time difference, of course. Thank you for everybody joining us tonight. The plan for this show is going to be a little bit different. There are certainly some newsworthy topics that we're going to touch on and get covered and get everybody up to speed. But like I said, we've also seen plenty of comments and interest in Blake's visit out to South Korea. And so we definitely want to leave time for that, to have him answer questions and just sort of discuss what his experience has been like before. But before we get started with everything, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the like button on this video. We greatly appreciate everybody who's watching this live with us, whether on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. And if you're new to us, if you subscribe, it certainly helps our channel continue to grow. And we also appreciate our podcast listeners, of course, and we ask that you subscribe, rate, and review us there as well. And as I mentioned, we're planning to spend some time answering questions from everybody. But if you want to make sure that yours is covered, then Super Chat is definitely the way to go with that. If you're a new viewer, Super Chat gets your question answered by us right away. We put it up on the screen, and it also helps us continue to grow the channel. So, all right, now that we've gotten all that covered, let's I know there's still one more exhibition game for the Dodgers to play. That's happening, depending on where you are, early Monday morning or Monday evening in Blake's case. But, you know, the Dodgers are in need of a 5th starter for the regular season, which is now just a few days away. It sounds crazy to say. And at the time of traveling and leaving Camelback Ranch, Dave Roberts had suggested that Michael Grove, Gavin Stone, Kyle Hurt, and Ryan Yarbrough were still, you know, sort of in the running for that 5th starter job come this regular season. But Blake, it seems like there's been a little bit of a shift towards a decision kind of being unofficially official. What can you tell us from what Dave said out there?
Yeah, so it seems like Gavin Stone is the favorite for that final spot, and it seems like he's pretty locked in to get that spot. Dave Roberts said if his going 4 innings, potentially 5, his next outing goes well, you could potentially see him in that 4th or 5th starter spot. I think that'll come versus the Angels his next time out. And he said Gavin Stone has kind of grown a lot in the past year. He's seen him doing better, throwing the ball lower in the zone, keeping it at the knees instead of leaving it up in the middle of the plate. And he's been able to repeat his delivery more. And that's something we kind of seen. Like, he struggled with last year with his mechanics getting thrown off due to the injury, led to tipping pitches, and his fastball velo was down and just led to a whole lot of problems with him. So seems like they got that figured out, and he's kind of back on track to being in that top prospect kind of pedigree we saw from him previously and getting back on track there.
Yeah, and I think, we certainly saw that with Gavin's, if I'm not mistaken, his first game of spring, I think, was the Dodgers' first game overall, right? In Peoria when they played the Padres.
So, yeah.
Sounded, yeah. So, and he was impressive in that. And I know, we look at spring training stats as they can, if you want them to be good and you want to find reason in some of the optimism, then you certainly can. If you want to ignore it, if a player potentially struggles, then that's also easy to kind of do as well. But so far in spring training, Stone is 3-0 with a 0.93 ERA in 4 games. 3 of those are starts. I believe there may be Dave might not have necessarily explained it correctly. I think Stone might be pitching Monday night after Bobby Miller. But maybe I have that. Maybe I misunderstood what Dave was saying. But anyway, Gavin will make one more appearance, whether it's Monday night or in the Exhibition Freeway Series. But yeah, that's kind of where things stand with him. I don't know. Is there any real surprise that he's going to end up being, or at least it looks like he's going to be the 5th starter?
I think the surprise would be from when we first started spring training and we didn't really see him as a viable option. But as spring training went on, it kept seeming like he was the more and more likely option. And every week kind of solidified that even more. So at this point, no real surprise. But going back to look at the start of spring training, yeah, it's pretty surprising.
Yeah, that's certainly fair. And I think, to Gavin's credit, he did correct some pitch tipping issues that were a factor in his struggles last season. As we touched on in one of our other videos, he also added on some muscle during the offseason, and he relied on some Chipotle to help him add the weight that's going to hopefully allow him to kind of sustain the rigors of pitching, a full season, whether the majority of that comes with the Dodgers or back with Oklahoma City. But yeah, credit to Gavin Stone, and that's kind of where things stand. Dave Roberts, it's he stopped short of officially naming him the 5th starter, but basically reading kind of the tea leaves and the way things have been going that way, it's looking likely. So our next topic is, let's shift to the bullpen. And shortly before the Dodgers played their first exhibition game against the Heroes, Daniel Hudson was officially added to their 40-man roster. Andre Lipsius was designated for assignment in order to make room for Hudson. And just one quick note on that, the Dodgers 40-man roster still is full with Hudson now on it, and that's going to certainly be a factor for the Dodgers sort of moving forward. But Blake, I know you and I both sort of wondered if Hudson would get to this point a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago now, when Dave Roberts said the plan was for Hudson, Feyereisen, and Treinen to be on the opening day roster. What can you say about the spring that Hudson has sort of put together?
It's been kind of up and down so far, I think. I mean, I think that was a bit to be expected because he hasn't pitched in so long. He had to shake off all that rust. But he seemed to improve more recently, getting his mechanics back in order and just looking a little more sharp overall. The slider's back, the fastball's velo's been okay. So I think the Dodgers kind of planned for him to be in this role when they signed him originally to the minor league deal. And it was more about just keeping him off the 40-man roster to keep that space open with like the kind of idea that they'd put him in the bullpen to start the season. So I think it's a credit to Hudson getting back to this point already. And they have high hopes for him. I believe Robert said when Gratterall was out that Hudson could be a guy who steps into his role. So we'll see how that goes overall, but the Dodgers have a lot of good bullpen options too.
Yeah, and to your point, Dave Roberts did, when he was discussing Daniel Hudson with you guys out there, he did reference Hudson's early struggles in spring training. And he said for him, though, Roberts speaking about himself, Hudson's kind of trajectory and progression throughout the spring basically was what's to be expected with a veteran pitcher, where, maybe a little early on, it's kind of about just getting your bearings. And particularly in Hudson's case, last season, he was coming back from the ACL surgery and injury that he suffered in 2022, pitched in, I think it was like 3 or 4 games, ended up hurting spraining his MCL in his right knee, or his left. Yes. his left knee. I always get them mixed up for some reason. His
He
right
had
knee.
injuries in both knees. So.
Yeah, I think the ACL was the left knee, I believe. I could have that reversed. But anyway, he had an MCL sprain in his knee that ended his season once again, unfortunately. And had the Dodgers advanced to the NLCS last year, then Hudson was potentially going to be a candidate to return at that point. But we all know what happened in October. We don't need to revisit that. So that is, I know you and I and you mentioned it right now, for us, that was certainly the question mark. Is I do agree that when the Dodgers re-signed Hudson to the minor league deal, it was with an expectation, understanding that he was going to factor in to their bullpen this season. I expected it to be early in the year. I didn't necessarily know if it would be opening day, but again, that's more of just understanding that Hudson hasn't really pitched a whole lot in the last 2 years. And, he's dealt with multiple knee injuries. There was, I think, some ankle tendonitis while he was making the recovery from the ACL that sort of delayed his return to the mound last year. But yeah, circling back to my main point, Dave Roberts, it's to Hudson's credit, he has certainly improved over the past handful of appearances, and he's trending in the right direction. And like you said, with Brusdar Graterol not being available for the Seoul series, and I know there's still an expectation or a hope, I guess, with Graterol that he's ready once the Dodgers come back stateside. But in the meantime, having Hudson as an option certainly helps. Hudson, did anything particularly stick out when he pitched against the Heroes?
I don't think so. It's pretty normal outing for him. Like, he made the error early on, and then it kind of led to him getting in a little trouble there, but nothing too memorable for me.
Yeah. The air that I definitely breathed a sigh of relief when he wasn't hurt, because something like that, his knees, like, he is an older pitcher at this point. He has had multiple knee injuries, like we just discussed, and so that was nice to see him. He's just a ball he booted, but then was able to sort of recover and get out of the inning. So we have our first super chat of the night, and it's from Laura. So thank you for that, Laura. She's asking, will Hurt make the opening day roster? And the timing of Laura's question is impeccable, because that was actually going to be our next topic. Kyle Hurt, we saw him close out the game against the Heroes. He had to bail out Evan Phillips a little bit, and I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek. But it appears he's going to be part of the opening day roster for the first time in his career. Blake, what does it look like the Dodgers are planning with Kyle?
Yeah, so Dave Roberts said it's a really good possibility that he's going to be on the opening day roster for this Seoul series against the Padres. They haven't made their official decision yet, but seems like it's trending that way, because they view Hurt as someone who can get lefties and righties out. And as we know, they only have one lefty, maybe two, depending on how they use Yarbrough in the bullpen. But Yarbrough isn't really a guy you want to use in lefty specialist spots. So it seems like Hurt's a guy that's going to make the roster and be in the bullpen. Roberts also said they still view him as a starter, and they hope he's going to be a starter down the line too, but kind of coming into the middle innings at this point and taking down a few innings at a time might be something that's valuable to the team at this point. So it seems like he's destined for the roster, but in a bullpen role, but that doesn't mean he's ruled out for a starter down the line at some point.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to sort of monitor with Hurt. And, this is only potentially 2 games, and I don't even know if they would have him go back-to-back. So my guess is he's probably, because he pitched, was it 2 1/3 innings against the Heroes?
Yeah.
My expectation is he's probably not ready until the second game of the Seoul series. I think they might err on the side of caution with him. And so regardless, even if he is ready for opening day, you're probably only seeing Kyle Hurt in one of the 2 games because of, like you just said, Dave Roberts explaining that the Dodgers still view him as a starter, so they're not going to have him pitch back-to-back by any means or go, on any sort of short rest scenario. What'll be interesting for me is if the regular season comes, or the domestic schedule of the regular season comes around, if Brusdar Graterol isn't ready yet, is Kyle Hurt still on the active roster at that point? And is he continuing to be utilized out of the bullpen? My guess would be yes. Do you see him? I know the Dodgers, Dave Roberts reiterated the Dodgers see him as a starting pitcher moving forward. Do you still see that for him? Or do you think that there's been enough momentum? Let's remember, he came up and made his MLB debut last year. It was out of the bullpen. It was just the 1 game. But do you see that kind of being the role that maybe he's best suited for at the major leagues?
No, I kind of think he's a starter long term. I know his stuff plus numbers, we talked about that a lot. They aren't great, which kind of contradicts how he actually looks because he gets a lot of strikeouts with his stuff. He has a really good changeup, but his fastball isn't a great pitch. It ranks below league average stuff wise. So I just don't see him being able to go deep into a game with not elite stuff for at least 3 quality pitches. He's a guy who relies on his changeup a lot, and I think you can kind of make it work in the bullpen with 1, maybe 2 good pitches, but as a starter, you definitely need that 3rd pitch to carry you deep into games. So I think he's a reliever long term, and if he can become an impact reliever for the Dodgers, I don't think that's a bad thing, especially with the starting pitching depth they have. So I think you don't want to give up on a starter until you absolutely have to, but I do think Hurt's best suited for the bullpen.
Do you think that maybe that's I don't want to say a realization, but a shift that the Dodgers will make more aggressively this year, or will they continue to just let him, make the majority of his appearances as starts down with OKC and then figure it out next year?
I think it'll be that one, kind of like what they've done with Michael Grove, where they keep considering him a starter and building him up, but in most of his opportunities recently, it's been in the bullpen, and that's kind of where it seems like it's trending for him. It's just the general consensus in baseball is you don't move a guy out of the rotation until you absolutely have to. So I think that's just how the Dodgers view it. And if he becomes an elite starter, he's going to be more valuable than if he becomes an elite reliever. And that's just how things go. So you kind of try and keep that value there until you absolutely have to.
Yeah, those are great points. I think another thing too is, the Dodgers are probably looking at their pitching depth. And as much as Kyle Hurt has certainly shown potential to be a good quality major league starter, there's a lot of depth in that area for the Dodgers. A lot of young depth too. Emmett Sheehan is somebody that they still have, and I know his start to the season is being delayed because of the right shoulder trouble he dealt with during the spring. But he's somebody who's there. I do think, even though maybe they haven't said it publicly, Michael Grove, for all intents and purposes, is a relief pitcher at this point. But you obviously still have Bobby Miller. You still have a lot of other younger prospects who are starting in the minors too. That the rotation could get crowded, and the Dodgers certainly like flexibility with their players, and that's something that Hurt. Credit to him, he's shown an ability to adjust well to kind of the bullpen role, and now it looks like it's going to end up resulting in him getting to join the opening day roster for the first time in his career. So that'll be exciting, and it's happening in South Korea. And at minimum, he's been out there with the Dodgers. He's been out there with you. You guys are getting to experience the other side of the Pacific. And another thing, just real quick on Kyle Hurt, and it might be a little easy to forget that he was included with Alex Vesia in the trade that sent Dylan Floro to the Marlins. Is that looking rather lopsided at this point? No, as Daniel would say, no disrespect to Dylan Floro.
I think it was lopsided even without Kyle Hurt, if we're being honest. I know people don't want to hear that with Vesia, but Vesia has been their lefty reliever, their kind of go-to guy from that left-handed side. So Dylan Floro wasn't a guy they were keeping around. He was kind of just a guy in their bullpen. So I think it was a great trade for them.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. So that was those were the major sort of talking points that have come up in the past few days since Jeff did his live show with, I believe it was Anthony on Friday night. So let's get into the topic that everybody wants to hear from and the person everybody wants to hear from. So I'm going to stop talking for a few minutes and let Blake sort of do kind of maybe a quick summary of what the experience in South Korea has been like so far.
Yeah, so it was about an 18-hour flight in total with the layover we had in Taiwan. Got into South Korea at, like 11 a.m. Finally got to the hotel around, I think, 3. Didn't really sleep on the plane. I was not Shohei or James Outman getting there 11 and 7 hours. I think I got like a total of 3 hours kind of mixed in here and there on the plane. But overall, it wasn't too bad. Got to the hotel. I think walked around a little bit after that. Got dinner at a chicken barbecue place. They only had chicken, like nothing else. So that was pretty interesting. It was good. I enjoyed that. And then I don't even remember after that. I think I went back to the hotel and passed out because it was just so late. Or I put together the video that some of you may have seen of the trip. And then the next day I went to the Dodger practice, got video of that. I don't think I did anything else major that day. It was just a kind of day of relaxing, long trip. So I'm sure you guys can kind of guess from that. And then yesterday was the game, covered that. That was an interesting experience. there was cheerleaders going on and chants and everything throughout the entire game. That was a fun experience there. I would definitely like to see that kind of stuff come to Dodger Stadium, the chants and the drums and everything going on. It was a cool environment. It was kind of like the World Baseball Classic type stuff. But yeah, now it's 11 a.m. on Monday here, so haven't really got into any of the day yet. Just got some breakfast and doing the show now.
All right, so let's go back to not necessarily the beginning, but early in the trip. You said you went to a barbecue place that only served chicken. I imagine that was perfectly fine with you because you notoriously are chicken over steak over burgers anyway.
Yeah, it definitely was good. We didn't know. We just kind of went in because it looked like a barbecue place. Oh, and I say we because my dad made the trip out here too, for anyone who didn't know. So if I refer to we or anything like that, that's why. Yeah, so I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. Server was very nice and kind and helpful with us. And yeah, it was a cool experience there.
Can you tell us what you ordered at that dinner? Or no? Do you remember?
Chicken.
Well, like, was it just straight
It was
barbecue?
like it was like charcoal barbecued chicken. They had a charcoal grill in the middle of the table, and then I think it was chicken thighs, and they had like some soy sauce on it, and then around the table there was a bunch of other like sauces and stuff you could dip it into. I kept it pretty plain because that's me, and a lot of the stuff was spicy. I don't do spicy, but yeah.
Okay. We have a couple questions and comments. And so one thing I will recommend to make sure you follow Blake on Twitter and Instagram. There's his handle there. If you're listening to this, it's @ByBlakeWilliams. He's posting pictures of different things that he's getting to experience and eat, which obviously, if you guys have been following us, you know that that's always of lively discussion in here. Hawaiian Kira has a question about the French fry ice cream that you posted.
Yeah, so at the workout, they had one place open for media, and they had hot dogs and potato ice cream. The hot dog, I'll say I had ventured into the hot dog more. Usually I just go ketchup, but this time I got whatever they put on it. It was ketchup, relish, mustard, and like not grill onion, crispy onions. So normally I wouldn't eat relish at all, but I tried it because I was out here, be a little adventurous. It was okay, didn't love it, but the potato ice cream was definitely the highlight of it. It was not what I was expecting. It actually tasted like French fry ice cream, which is what I posted on my Twitter. And then they had 2 potato chips in it that maybe had like some Funyun type powder on it, like maybe a little oniony flavor in there, but it was interesting. It was pretty good. I'd have it again, but yeah, definitely not what I was expecting to have when I came out here.
Here's a tip from Mr. Classic. He says in Korea, they pride themselves on their meat called hanwoo. And then he said that it tastes great. So there's maybe something to consider. DJ Jesse says he saw Gavin Lux eating a McDonald's quarter pounder. I know that there was some jokes made, Blake, about your trip and going out there, but we can proudly report you have not stepped foot in a McDonald's yet. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. I haven't gone to any fast food places unless I went to Dunkin' for breakfast this morning because it's connected to the hotel, if that counts, but that was it.
Okay. Speaking of fast food, Nomofomo says to try KFC there because it's 10 times better.
It's 10 times better than KFC in the US, like still bad though.
That is a fair question, but I think it's safe to say that Nomofomo wouldn't steer you astray. And so if he's recommending KFC, it's because it's legitimately good and not necessarily 10 times better just based on the KFC here. Let's see. I did see a couple other ones. Let's see. So if I see somebody joining asking about Blake Snell, we haven't discussed him. He hasn't signed yet. The Dodgers aren't really a team that have been connected to Blake Snell, so I wouldn't really see that happening. We will get to baseball questions. Right now, we're kind of just focusing on what Blake has experienced out in South Korea. So if you have any questions for him about that, we'll take those at this time. Blake, if you happen to see a question, then go ahead and throw it up because I'm scrolling.
I see one that says eat a live octopus for the content. That will not be happening. I can promise you that unless someone wants to pay a lot of money for that. But while I was walking to get dinner yesterday, I did pass a fish place, and outside they had like live octopus out front in a tank, and I recorded them and took some video, but then I realized like that's someone's dinner soon, and then I felt weird about it. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that. Live octopus is definitely something I would not necessarily go near. Here's a question from Laura. She wants to know: have you been to the market that the players went to? I guess I don't know. Would they have done that today, or was that last night? Maybe.
I think it would have been today, but
Okay.
I'm not. Cause maybe last. I don't know. I didn't see it. I fell asleep pretty early last night, so and the time change and everything. But I did go to the Hyundai Mall yesterday. I think Gavin Lux posted a picture from there the first day they got here. It's pretty close. Forgot to mention that. That was pretty cool. Very high end mall. Um, it had like 9 stories. I did find a Lego store and a Disney store there. Didn't buy anything from either of them, but I thought that was kind of funny. And ran into a Dodger fan there who came out. So that was cool.
All
And
right.
yeah.
Noah wants to know what else do you plan to eat while you're out there?
I'm still looking for the Korean fried chicken everyone's recommended. I guess I have to try that beef earlier that was recommended.
Yeah, I think it was
Probably try and find
Was it
Hanwoo.
Hanwoo? Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't thought too much into it yet, just kind of going day by day so far, but I did get some of the snacks that the Dodgers tried in one of their recent social media posts, so might have that near the end of the show to try out live.
Well, here, let's do that one. Let's do that right now if they're close enough to you.
They are.
Go ahead and
So
grab something and let's see.
So
what we
here
got.
was the banana chips, I think they tried. I'm pretty sure all these are what they actually had, but I don't know, but we're going to try them. So, yeah, they definitely smell like banana. Tastes like banana, too. It kind of tastes, it has like the texture of maybe a Honey Nut Cheerio kind of thing, but with a banana taste to it.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
I think I saw that you grabbed the ones with like the chocolate filling or something, right?
Yeah, but this is probably what everyone wants to see. The bulgogi, whatever, ramen treat thing.
But real quick, maybe mute yourself as you open that just because I don't want everybody. Yeah, there we go. So we'll give Blake a second to open this bag and then we'll see him try the bulgogi snack. This one I think was popular with what all the players, right?
I think. Yeah, I think he said it tastes like barbecue. Seems kind of plain to me. I don't know.
Okay. All right, let's do one more. I think did you have the chocolate filled snack? Let's try that one. That's the one that I was most interested in. Then after this, we did see a question about some memorabilia and merchandise, asking Blake if he bought anything. I think he did pick up a few things, so we'll have him show you that to everybody as well.
That's not what I was expecting.
Is it chocolate or no?
I think it might have a peanut in it, actually.
Okay.
But the outside is like not sweet. I don't know.
Good or no?
I have no idea. I don't think so.
What was your favorite?
That might have squid on it.
Oh.
Yeah. Not it.
That
yeah, that's what someone said. No.
Yeah. That worked out great. This is definitely going to get clipped and sent to our staff so everybody could see Blake inadvertently having some squid.
That is not it.
All right, let's. We had a question, Blake, about like memorabilia and stuff like that, and I know you picked up a few things. So let's shift gears to that as you kind of recover from your system being shocked right now.
Yeah. Well, first I'll start at the Hyundai. I got a new bucket hat from MLB Korea. A nice Dodger one.
Is there a Soul Series patch or anything on it?
No.
Okay.
But this one has it here, if you can see on the side.
Yeah, we can see it.
Got a program here.
Okay.
Let me try kind of off to the side here. Got a bunch of stuff. I got a lanyard. So series lanyard. got towel. And hold it up.
Yeah, I was going to say wrong way. There we go. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is that going to get hung? Is it going to get hung up in your studio?
Yeah. And then a few pennants.
All right.
This one. Got the Dodger one. And then both teams.
Pretty
So
cool.
I did think it was funny when I went to the store. Most of the Dodger stuff was sold out, but they had quite a bit of Padres stuff. And then they also had some Pirates jerseys for some reason, and Yankee stuff, of course, not shocking, and Giants jerseys.
So I know it was a Dodger exhibition game, obviously, that you covered, but did you see like maybe Padres fans or fans of other teams kind of walking around or taking in that game, or not really?
I've seen a lot of Yankees hats. We ran into someone on the elevator who had one, but he wasn't a Yankees fan, just kind of did it for the style, which I know that's pretty popular with the Yankees. Saw a Mets jersey at the stadium. Saw an Ohtani Angels jersey, not surprising. I don't think I saw some more. Can't really remember. I may have saw a Red Sox one or something, but yeah, there's been a good amount of fans, but like 75% of the MLB jerseys have been Dodger jerseys, and then some Kiwoom Heroes jerseys too.
Okay. We have another super chat from Laura. Thank you for that. She wants to know if you saw any of the blue caps with Korean Dodger writing, and she's also wondering how much the hats are out there.
So this one was 53,000 won, which I think is like $38 to $40 in the US. It's a little cheaper than they do there. I didn't see the Dodger Korean writing ones. I went to the Hyundai looking for it because they only sell them at the MLB stores, not like at the stadium, but it seems like they're sold out everywhere. So unfortunately, I won't be able to get one. I ordered one of the Seoul Series ones off eBay and paid a little too much for it, but I had to get one. So yeah, they seem to be sold out.
That's kind of surprising that they're not going to. I wonder if maybe they'll sell them at the stadium, like once the Seoul Series begins, perhaps.
Maybe. I think they're just kind of sold out.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I can't get over eating that squid snack thing. It looked like chocolate on the bag, but that is no.
Well, we have another super chat from Hawaiian Kira. She says, "Are you going to add any KBO caps or bucket hats to your collection?"
I looked for KBO hats, but I couldn't find any. The Kiwoom Hero store was closed, and they only had MLB ones set up. So yeah, I would totally get an NC Dinos hat if I found one, or really any of the teams, but haven't been able to.
Okay. If you know Blake, I think you've expressed this, that when you travel to a city of another team, you enjoy purchasing a hat of said team that typically plays there. Excuse me, not pays. All right. So I think that kind of sums up the South Korea portion. Blake is obviously still out there. He's going to be covering the exhibition game tonight for him, early Monday morning if you're on Pacific time. And then, of course, he's going to be out there through the rest of the Seoul, once the actual Seoul series is played. The Dodgers may have canceled a workout at some point. And so if that is the case, then Blake's going to definitely do some sightseeing and put together a video for everybody, similar to the one of his travel, similar to the one of behind the scenes at the stadium. So now let's kind of close out the next maybe 15 to 20 minutes. We have to cut this show a little bit shorter than normal just because, like I said, we do need to give Blake enough time to get to the stadium for Dave Roberts' pregame interview and BP and all that. But if you have any baseball questions, we'll go ahead and shift to those right now. If not, if you want to continue to ask Blake about the squid, he looks like he is ready to discuss it more and how he'll be probably bringing 2 or 3 bags of that snack home with him to the United States.
No, I'm just going to have another banana chip to cleanse the palate.
Nomo FOMO wants to know if there was a Hyunjin Ryu sighting yet.
There has not been. I think Dave said he hasn't met with him yet, but he's hoping to.
Yeah. Laura's asking what happened to Ohtani. So, yeah, if you were watching the exhibition game, it looked like a couple times Ohtani might have either swung too hard or just maybe pulled something in his side or his back. Dave Roberts was asked about it after the game against the Heroes. He said that everything is fine with Ohtani. The plan is for him to be in the lineup for their next exhibition game, and he'll take definitely 2 more at bats, just like he did on the first one, and potentially a third as well. Here, Ramble Ron is asking, is there a game tonight? So it depends on where you are located. For Blake out in Seoul, yes, there is a game tonight. For any of us out on the West Coast, there is a game very early tomorrow morning. And so as we're recording this, it's 7:45 p.m. Sunday night in LA. I'll potentially maybe get a couple hours of sleep before waking up and kind of helping Blake do kind of all the pregame stuff, or I'm just going to end up staying awake the entire way through. I haven't fully decided yet. Let's see. So we have another super chat. It's not a question, but a comment from Noah. Blake Sebastian. Okay, so yeah, I actually meant to bring this up to you. Noah's getting them mixed up. It's Anthony who collects hats as well, similar to you, where he likes, he said he has all teams, and then Jeff asked him about the Giants as well, and then he said, actually, that is the one that I don't have and I wouldn't own. But I think I thought of you as well. I think you and Anthony need to get on a video together, maybe show off your guys' hat collection.
All right. I would add a Giants one, though. I'll just throw that out there. Like, if I go to their stadium, I'd get one.
Right.
I can't exclude one.
Like, you can. And this is where, I may just need to mute you, maybe even remove you from this live show altogether and send you on your way to the stadium. Let's see what the chat has to say. Yeah, see, Nomo FOMO, you're getting booed.
I'm not saying I'd wear it, just for the collection.
Here, Craig wants to know, what player do you look forward to seeing? Let's apply this to the Seoul series, and let's remove the obvious kind of Ohtani stuff. Is there anybody that you're looking forward to maybe getting off to, either you want to see them get off to a strong start this season, or because you have some concerns?
JP Fireeisen's been one of my guys, so I'm looking forward to seeing him get into a game and pitch again. I kind of wanted to say Austin Barnes just because me and Scott keep saying he's going to have his first hit in his first at-bat, just to kind of prove everyone wrong a bit. And I know Jeff won't want to hear this, but Austin Barnes is probably going to start game 2 with Yamamoto there. He's been catching him throughout spring training, and I'm not sure the Dodgers want to give Will Smith back-to-back days after traveling out here. So I think we're going to see Barnes in that game 2 lineup there. Kind of excited for that one. And I think Teoscar, probably of the bigger name players, he maybe flew under the radar a bit compared to all the other big signings, but he's a good player with a lot of power, and I think he'll be a fun addition to the lineup.
Going back to your comment about the hats, Tim G says you're a traitor. I did see another. Yeah, EB says eat another squid for that one, Blake. Let's see.
That's still like just in the back of my mind. Like, I can't shake that.
Let me try to find some more baseball questions. Bear with me, everybody. Here, TQT says Kike will platoon with Hayward. Outman will play versus all comers. Rojas might play versus some lefties in place of Lux. Where does that leave Chris Taylor?
Could be a potential platoon with Max Muncy, depending on how he does versus lefties. He kind of struggled versus them a bit last year, but I don't think you're going to see any set platoons necessarily. I think they're going to mix it around a lot. Like, you might see Taylor playing some days as the platoon guy with James Outman, and Kike might be there the other day, and you might see Chris Taylor mix in for Gavin Lux some days, and they're going to kind of mix it around a lot, and I don't think anyone really has like a set platoon role on this team.
Larry wants to know, do you think that the organization is considering Lux as a left fielder? We have a lot of free agent outfielders after this season.
I don't think so, because I feel like they kind of would have started to make that transition already instead of setting him up to be the shortstop and then moving him out to second base when that didn't go well. I think he's probably a second baseman at this point long term, and I don't know where that leaves Mookie and what they're going to do. Maybe next year they consider Lux in left field, and maybe that's probably what the question's referring to, but they also have Miguel Vargas working out there, and Andy Paz probably needs a spot next year, so they have a lot of options and a lot of things to consider. I still think Lux is probably a guy who's going to get traded at some point, and they'll bring in an actual shortstop. Ha-Seong Kim or Willie Adames are guys who come to mind. And then Mookie Betts will move back to second base.
And you mentioned Willy Adames and Ha-Seong Kim. You and Scott did a video kind of on why maybe the Dodgers should trade for Willy Adames and what that potentially would look like. So definitely check that out on our YouTube channel. And then also Jeff and Anthony took care of the Ha-Seong Kim angle and why, what that would possibly look like for the Dodgers. So definitely give that one a watch as well. Corbin says, now they added a Guggenheim sticker to the helmet. Is that going to stay during the season, or is this just for Korea? My understanding as of now is that it's just for Korea. I don't think that's going to be for the regular season. Have you heard one way or the other?
I have not heard anything about it. I wouldn't be shocked if they keep it during the season, though.
It wouldn't shock me, but it does also feel like more of a thing that they're just kind of doing now with, nationalize on them being out in South Korea, the MLB's first games being played there, stuff like that. So I guess we'll see. I know you've made note of it that the Guggenheim logo is on the backdrop that they use now for press conferences with Ohtani and Yamamoto. So yeah, and obviously the jersey patches on the sleeve, the jersey patches on the sleeve now. So it wouldn't be fully surprising to see this, but yeah, I think it's potentially a thing just for South Korea. Is any team? I think MLB allows. Well, obviously they allow it, but does any team have helmet ads during the regular season? Do you remember? I couldn't think of anybody.
I don't think so, but I know in hockey, pretty much every team does it, so that's probably going to make its way to MLB at some point soon.
Yeah. GI wants to know, notice any glaring differences in style of play between KBO and MLB teams thus far? I feel like we might get a better answer better idea after the second exhibition games the Dodgers are about to play, because the first one, the Heroes, maybe the polite way to say they looked a little overmatched, but Blake, you were there, so did anything stick out?
Well, I think the Heroes one is important to note that the Heroes were, I think, 58 and 82 last year in the KBO, and the Dodgers won 100 games in Major League Baseball and then added a few stars to their lineup. So not really a fair comparison there, but it just, to me, it kind of looked like a Major League team playing like a AA type team. It's just, you're going to see a lot of differences there. Maybe KBO is a little more small ball oriented than baseball, Major League Baseball is, but yeah, it's kind of hard to get that full take from one game, but hopefully we'll have someone on the show soon who specializes in KBO baseball, and we'll have them talk a little more about that.
Yeah. So we've gotten this question a few times. The latest one is from PKW. When are they playing again? So if you are in the Pacific time zone, the Dodgers are playing Monday morning at 3 a.m. Pacific. If you're like Blake, it's at a much more normal time. And is it 7 or 8 p.m. for you? 7 p.m. Monday night for Blake. 3 a.m. if you are in Southern California. Here's a good question, Blake. I know you were on the field a little bit yesterday. Nomo FOMO wants to know if you happen to pick up any of the KBO balls to see how different they may be.
I didn't get a chance to get one. I got an MLB ball trying to see if it had the Seoul Series logo on it, but it did not. So, no, I don't have any real idea.
Okay. Yeah, and that's one thing to note with this, too, is the Dodgers are using the normal MLB baseballs that they've been accustomed to. The Heroes and the Korean national team now will be using the KBO baseballs, which obviously they're used to. So it does create a little bit of a weird dynamic for the hitters hitting different baseballs, but it is in the name of kind of safety and pitcher health. So it certainly makes sense. Yeah. Oh, GI, I just answered your question about the baseballs. Not Jeff Spiegel says, Blake, are you worried about Yamamoto's outings recently?
I don't think so. It's been a lot of singles that kind of just sneak through the infield. I haven't seen anything too concerning yet. So I think his batting average on balls in play is like 500 or something, and generally league average is around 300. So that should come down a bit. And I expect that to be better with the Dodgers defensive alignments now, with Gavin Lux moving over to second and Mookie at short. That should help out. So I don't think so. He's probably working on things too. It's been spring training, and they're not trying to do their best to get every out they can and throwing as hard as they can and doing all that. Like, they're working on things and practicing, and nothing too concerning yet for me.
So does that include then you're not reading too much into maybe the majority of his struggles recently coming when he's pitching out of the stretch?
I think there's an adjustment period to be made there, but I mean, I think he's talented enough where it's not something you're going to have to worry about long term. Maybe in the short term, it might be a thing or two here that comes up, but I think he'll be fine for the majority of the season.
This question is from Brian Tracy saying, I thought they played on the 20th and the 21st. Yes, that's the Seoul Series games that the Dodgers are playing, which if you are in the Pacific time zone will be lucky for us at 3 a.m. as well, both of those days. But they're playing one more exhibition game. And that, like I said, is going to be early Monday morning at 3 a.m. If you're on the East Coast, it's at 6 o'clock, which is a little bit more bearable and maybe feels more normal if you're used to waking up early for work. Michael Carrillo wants to know, why is Daniel Hudson on the roster? Blake, I know we discussed Hudson earlier in our video, but go ahead. Can you do just a quick Cliff Notes version?
Why is he on the roster? Because the Dodgers signed him for that reason, basically, and they think he'll be an effective reliever. He hasn't pitched in a while, of course, but I think they're hoping he kind of shakes off some of that rust and he's effective in the regular season. He has improved more with each of his recent outings, so I think the Dodgers have a lot of faith in him and think he can be a high leverage reliever.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I don't necessarily see any more here. Right Field Pavilion wants to know, any chance MLB adopts having cheerleaders for each team? I know you are advocate for singing and dancing and drumming and chants and stuff like that, but do you see cheerleaders becoming a thing in Major League Baseball?
Didn't the Mets add a cheerleading squad for the season?
They might have, but I didn't read into the details of it, so I'm not 100% sure what they would be doing.
So, I don't think it'll happen because MLB is very set in their ways, but I think it would be a fun addition. That they had a lot of chants going on yesterday with Jason Hayward and Mookie Betts and Shohei and all that, and it was fun. It was a fun atmosphere.
All right, we'll take a couple more questions here before we let Blake go so we could start heading over to the stadium. We definitely don't want to make him late. Here's another one from Not Just Spiegel. He wants to know if they serve hot dogs at the stadium. I think you did have one right at the workout.
Yeah, they do have hot dogs there.
The bigger selling point to me is that they have a Philly cheesesteak, which I hope that you try. I'm curious to see how that would be. Let's see. Here's another one from Noah. He wants to, do you like how Lux has been looking on the field and at the plate?
I think he's been better at second base, so I've liked that. He looks more comfortable there and is kind of settled in. Offensively, he's looked pretty good overall. Maybe a little more surprising than what I was expecting from him at this point. So I think he's overall in a pretty good spot. But like I said earlier, I'm still not sure he's part of their future plans unless he can figure out how to play shortstop effectively.
Brian wants to know if JD Martinez has been signed yet. He is not. The latest reports are there's some mutual interest between JD and the Mets and the Angels as well. But with that, it's also been reported that teams are looking to basically sort of lowball JD Martinez and kind of take advantage of a slow free agency for a lot of players. And so that could be the reason why he hasn't signed yet. I think he's looking for a 2-year deal. Miami Marlins were also mentioned as having some interest in him, but they may be sticking with their sort of platoon at the DH position. Here, Blake Doom wants to know if you've had shrimp at the stadium.
No, I don't really eat seafood, so it's not going to be on the table for me.
All right, I think maybe that'll be it. And we can end with this one. NS says, to eat more squid, Blake, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, I think that's it for me, guys. Goodbye.
So if you missed it earlier, definitely rewind this, probably about 15-20 minutes by now to see Blake doing a taste test with different snacks that he picked up. He thought maybe it was going to be chocolate, and it ended up being squid.
It looked like the ones that the Dodgers had, like Brewstar had it. It was like a little brown bowl, and it looked chocolatey, but no. I did find this like an M&M candy bar, though. Thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Are you planning on bringing anything like that back with you or no?
I'm not sure. I think I'd have to check that all through customs and stuff when
Oh, yeah,
flying
that's
back,
true.
so that might be a hassle, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. I know it was a little bit shorter show than we normally do on Sunday, but that is definitely due to Blake being out there in South Korea and he needs to head over to the stadium. And if you missed it, definitely rewind, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to this in the podcast. And Blake will sort of walk you through what his experience has been like so far out in South Korea. And he still has basically a whole week ahead of him. And so if the Dodgers cancel a workout here or there, Blake may end up doing some sightseeing for us. But if not, he unfortunately is keeping busy with having to cover game stuff. There's BP and pregame interviews and all that he's doing. And we do have videos, all the different content that Blake is producing for us. So definitely check that out on our YouTube channel. Blake, is there anything you want to add as we close this out?
Yeah, I see people talking about the Kit Kats, and we got one of those too. So, yeah, that's about it though. Just we'll have more coming and keep going.
Yeah, we'll have
Keep
to
watching.
see. Go ahead. We'll have to see if we could get the timing and what Blake has to cover out there for us makes it a little bit difficult to get him on a live show. But if not, definitely follow him on Twitter and Instagram. And I'm sure he'll be posting about what else he sort of sees and buys. And maybe if he opens up the M&M bar or the Kit Kat one before we get him back on here for another video. But again, thank you everybody for tuning in. We had another big crowd with us tonight. And as I said, the Dodgers are playing Monday morning. It's their final exhibition game. It's at 3 a.m. Pacific. And then after that, the next time they take the field is going to be for opening day. And we're definitely planning on having a live show Wednesday morning. I think we'll probably aim for 8:15, 8:30 Pacific time. So not right after the game ends, but shortly after, just to in case some people maybe wake up a little bit later and are watching kind of on a delay. But again, that's Blake who's reporting and for us live from South Korea, and he's a day ahead, so he's in the future. So hopefully, we'll get to Monday, and it'll be as exciting for us as it is for Blake. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you.